Hey guys, so our next entry is going to be looking at the De La Riva guard, and so De La Riva typically is played mostly in the gi, but there are Nogi variants of it coming up now, and techniques that guys are getting better with to make it actually a effective guard in Nogi. And so, because I'm going to be doing the next video on how to make this floating pass work in the gi, we're going to be doing it here. So, looking at the De La Riva guard, our opponent is hooking the back of our Achilles or heel with their arm, and they have the De La Riva hook here established. What we're looking at doing is first shedding this hook so that our opponent is unable to effectively manage the range and control our center of gravity with this hook. And presumably this leg is already going to be inside, usually at the back of my knee here. So we're basically already set up to enter into this floating position as long as I can shed that hook and start entering. If the person's leg is on the outside, on the hip, then you're either going to have to start attacking it to stuff it inside, or we're going to be looking at moving into leg drags and everything. If you tunnel vision yourself looking for one specific thing at all times, rather than naturally progressing through different movements and taking the positions as they come up, then you're going to have a hard time with things. But we'll take a look from the De La Riva here. I'm going to be taking my hand the same side as my leg that's being hooked, and I'm going to be framing right below the knee here, a little bit on the shin, not up on the thigh, but I want to access the lever here, and I want to push down at Kevin's knee to externally rotate the hip further and cause him to have to use a little more flexibility to try and maintain this hook. His goal is to keep himself in a strong leg press alignment with this De La Riva hook. The more I can turn his hips away and open his knee up, the more effective I'm going to be. If it's Nogi, hand to the shin, you can do the same in the gi, and then in the gi, we're looking at gripping right here at the seam of the pants here and pushing down with the palm, the heel of my palm into his knee. What I'm going to do is I'm going to squat down a little bit just to load some potential energy into my leg, and I'm going to extend the leg backwards to access his leg as a lever here by the ankle with the back of my knee. So here I'm going to receive my hips backwards to shed that hook. On the other side. So here, Kevin gets a good angle. He's got a strong De La Riva hook. This hand can also be just checking on top of the knee. It can be available here to grip fight. I can already have a grip on the gi if I want to. This can kind of be a multi-purpose, whatever you want it to be. Here, pushing that knee open. My elbow is locked out right now, so that if Kevin tries to close his knee, he can't. His leg will always overpower my arm. So if I'm just trying to push down here, open elbow, it's not going to be successful. Lock out, can even be the knuckles if you want. I prefer the heel of my palm. And by dropping my weight, I'm not using my arm against his leg. I'm just using gravity and my entire body weight here. Try and open, close your knee. Now from here, this hook is much weaker because his leg is in a much weaker alignment. Squatting down, kicking that. From here, because I still have this frame, if Kevin tries to reestablish that De La Riva hook, he can't. Do not take away that tension as soon as you've shed the hook. So here, he's just going to reestablish. So, I break that hook, keeping this as a placeholder, framing him out until my leg can start replacing this. From here, I'm looking at starting to drop forward, turning my knee outwards, and starting to rest the weight into my hands. Here, squatting down a bit to start putting weight into my arm. Extend, my leg is fully extended right now, knee basically locked out. From here, now I bring myself forward. At a certain point here, my center of gravity is going to be right on top of him. This hand's getting ready to post. This hand follows. It can be at the same time or right after. Now, depending on what your opponent's doing, traditionally a lot of times people are going to be actually just holding with their fingers at the back of your actual Achilles or your heel, like this. I'm going to be able to start opening my knee up and putting pressure in, and this grip is probably going to be not that difficult to break. If he's gripping my pants, this is what makes the floating pass very difficult within the gi, is we're going to be shut down for the leg pummeling. And so while the floating pass itself or like looking for like the shin on shin and moving around and doing the leg pummeling is very difficult, remember that there's 3 phases of passing. Or at least not just looking at the floating, but looking at switching to pressure or movement. If Kevin is holding down, regardless if it was holding my gi pants or holding my leg itself, his arm is no longer framing my body. It's gonna have some space between the elbow and the ribs. And so if he's holding on to me and I'm looking for pummeling, I'm shut down. But remember, we always have the option of starting to look for chest-to-chest connection and passing. So we're gonna have to just remember to switch from a movement style or loose style passing to more of the chest-to-chest pressure-based passing, or tight passing as Gordon calls it. And you're not gonna have much of an issue dealing with that because your opponent is static and holding on to something even though it's no longer effective. It seems like a problem for that one specific goal that you have, which is to try and do the leg pummeling, but it's not actually a problem when it comes to the pressure passing. If anything, it's actually beneficial to you because it's now a clear, easy shot for the underhook. So that would be part 4 in the video series that I've done so far, the float pass. Very similar to how, exactly the same as how Leander Lowe does it. So just remember, if someone's holding your gi, look for the underhook and move to chest-to-chest connection.